everyone, and welcome to episode 158 of the Giddy Knits podcast. As always, I am Helen, and I am coming to you from Dundee in Scotland, and this is where I get to chat about all the crafting that I have been working on. Welcome back. Today is the 2nd of July, I believe, and I know I only got one episode up in June. June just got away from me with a combination of the Wool Monty and a really busy work month, as well as the end of term here, including the end of primary school for one of my children. It was really busy and chaotic, and I just didn't quite get the time to sit down and do the videos that I was hoping to do. But hopefully, well, I'm going to say hopefully we'll be back on track. We probably won't be back on track in all reality, because we are now into school holidays here in Scotland. My kids are off for 7 weeks this year. It's going to be chaotic. So I am down to 3 working days a week, and just trying to fit in everything around that means that videos will probably take a little bit of a step back for the summer, but I will do my best to keep the podcast up and running. But if you don't see me on YouTube for a little while, or a regular podcast isn't coming up, then that's why. It's just the summer holidays. There's nothing drastic that's happened. As I said, welcome back. Hello to anyone that is new and checking out the video for the first time. If you haven't watched before and you don't know who I am, as I said, I'm Helen, and I am the dyer behind Giddy Yarns, which is an independent hand-dyed yarn business based here in Scotland, I guess, that I run. This is all stock yarn, not my yarn stash. These are all the places you can find me on the internet. There we go. So, what have I got for you this episode? We're going to have quite a big announcement section, because I have some giveaway winners to announce, and I want to talk a little bit about our bingo crafting challenge, because we are at an important point of the year for that. I've then got a couple of finished objects to share with you. I've got our usual what's in the basket section, where I share all the projects that I'm currently working on. I've got a fair amount of Yarny Goodness that came back with me from Wool Monty, so I will share that with you. And then we will finish off, as we usually do at the end of the episode, with some shop news. So, shall we get into it? Shall we start with announcements? We had 4 Makealongs running as part of this channel. The Giddy Yarns Makealong is my ongoing Makealong, which is always running. As long as whatever project you're knitting uses at least 50% of my yarn, you can enter it to be in with a chance of winning a prize, and I draw prize winners every quarter for that one. We have the Bingo Crafting Challenge, which again is a year-long knit-along. You create your own little bingo board of 9 challenges that you want to set yourself, and you attempt to complete them throughout the year, and I will be drawing prizes next year for people that took part. And then we also have our Friends That Grimble Together knit along, which I am co-hosting with Laura of The Lonely Knitter, and also Folk Yarn Studios on Instagram. And that is for any of the patterns by Sarah Shearer of Imagined Landscapes, any of her gnome patterns. And then finally, we had the Spring Shawlathon running, which I was co-hosting with Fran of Franny Do Makes. That has just finished. That closed on the 30th of June. So I have got prize winners to announce for that. We're going to start with the Giddy Yarns Makealong, because I have got some prize winners to announce from that. We are at the beginning of a new quarter, so the end of June was the end of quarter 2, which means I need to draw some prize winners for quarter 2. So with the Giddy Yarns Makealong, what I do is I use a random number generator to pick winners between Discord and Ravelry, and then you will get either, you can just pick a skein of yarn from the shop, or I will send you a gift card, because that tends to work out nice and easily. So our 2 winners for that, I will make sure I pop them on the screen, are Pam Moriarty and also Too Busy to Stitch. I think you were both Discord entries this time round. Congratulations. Drop me an email and I will get those gift cards out to you. Now, I will say we are going away next week. This is my last day at the studio. So if I am a little bit slow to reply to those emails, don't panic. I will pick them up once we're back from holiday. Don't panic if you've sent me an email and you've not had a response. And that goes for any of the prize winners, actually. We're away and I'm going to be on leave. And although I probably will be checking emails and things like that, just because they're on my phone, I may not be as quick to respond to them. So that is the Giddy Yarns Makealong. I then have 5 prize winners to draw for the Spring Shawlathon, and I have a basket full of prizes here. Now, this one was a bit more complicated because there were a lot of Discord entries. So what I did this time is I did random date generators. So I picked a random date between the 1st of April and the 30th of June, which is how long the Makealong was running for. I picked 5 random dates, and then I used a random number generator to determine whether they were from Ravelry or Discord, basically. Ravelry was number 1 and Discord was number 2, and that's how I picked it. And then I went for the closest date or the first post posted on that date, because I can search through Discord messages for dates of messages, which made it a lot easier than trying to count how many there were, because Discord doesn't tell me how many there are in a thread. Anyway, that's what we did. So our first winner was a Discord winner, and that was Davine. And you have won a hat kit that I've put together. And this is kind of the perfect one for you to win, really, because it's purple. So get in touch with me. Again, anyone that I mentioned, drop me an email if you can, because it's just easier for me to keep track of where all of the messages are. So yeah, drop me an email. I will put my email at the top of the screen so that you can see it. I will get this sent out to you. So congratulations, Davine. And then the second one was a Ravelry winner, and that is Bookbinder Knits on Ravelry. And you have won a lovely bag from Jackie at Soft Accents, and I've also popped a sock set there for you as well. So that one is going to Bookbinder Knits on Ravelry. Then we've got another Discord entry, and this is going to Woolly Alley. So this is a lovely little Halloween sock set from Green Lambkin Yarns. There's a couple of stitch markers and things in there as well. So drop me an email, Ali, and I will get that to you. Then we have, oh, which way around did I do this? Crocus. So Crocus is first. So this is Crocus from the Foxy Yarn shop. It's a gorgeous skein of yarn. It's very kindly donated for this Makealong. I love her logo. Look at that. That's so cool. So this skein of yarn was a Ravelry winner, and this is going to Needles Nifty on Ravelry. And then the final one is another skein of yarn from the Foxy Yarn, and this is her Glinda colourway. Gorgeous pinks with a few little bits of green in there. And this is going to a Discord entry, which was Crafting with Tracy. So congratulations to all of the winners. As I said, drop me an email if I have called your name out, and I will sort your prize out for you. I have made a note of who's won what, because I have failed to do that in the past, and that's been frustrating because I've then had to watch back through the video. But I've been organised this time. And I will get back with you. But as I said, just bear with me because we are going on holiday, and the timings of this going up and us going on holiday are probably going to clash. So that is all of the prize winners. Then the final thing I wanted to talk about in announcements is the Bingo Crafting Challenge, because it is July, and it is tradition in July for you to have free reign to change up some of the squares in your bingo board. So my bingo board looks like this, and I will definitely be changing up a couple of the squares. I think I'm going to be changing up the blanket square, and I need to have a little think about the other squares as well. I am going to do a specific video, like an end of Q2 check-in video, like I did at the end of Q1, which you will be seeing very soon, where I talk about kind of my progress on my bingo board and what I'm going to be changing. But for all of you who are joining in and who are looking at their bingo board and going, oh, I'm never going to get that square finished, I'm never going to get that done, I wish I hadn't put that on it. July is the time to make those changes. So you can change up as much of your bingo board as you feel like you need to make it fun and achievable and just an enjoyable experience, basically. Let me know in the Discord group what changes you've made, because it's always interesting to see, and have fun with it. So yeah, that was the big thing with the Bingo Crafting Challenge. I can't speak today. And I think that was everything for announcements. So, shall we move on to some finished objects? I have 2 finished objects for you today, and they are both socks. So I finally finished my opal socks. These are just plain vanilla socks, which if you haven't come across that term before, because I realise at shows I say vanilla socks to people and they don't know what I mean. A vanilla sock basically it's just a term that is used to describe a plain sock recipe where you do your own heel, your own toe, your own rib, and you just knit the body of the sock and you don't put any patterning in. That is what a vanilla sock is. So these are just vanilla socks. I did slightly different with these. So I did do a afterthought heel on these, and I've struggled with the afterthought heel for a long time with getting it to fit, and I think the problem is that every time I've done it, I've knit a tube and then I've tried to put the heel in after I've finished the tube and I've never got it in the right place. So what I did with this pair was I knit down the leg to kind of halfway across the foot. I then went back and put the heel in at where I would normally put it in terms of leg length. I then was able to try the sock on as I finished the foot of the sock so that I could put the toe in the right place, which means I now have a recipe as such for where I need to put the heel in when I knit a tube. So my plan going forward is that when I knit a pair of socks, I can knit a tube if I want to. I probably won't always do an afterthought heel. I quite like a German short row heel, but it gives me the option of doing an afterthought heel if I want to, and to be able to just knit the tube, put the toe in, and then know where to put the heel in because I know these fit me. So it was a bit of a trial and error, like work it out to get the perfect fitting pair with an afterthought heel, I guess, is the thing. The yarn I used for these is the opal yarn. It's one of the Crazy Waters colorways. I don't actually have the yarn band with me for some reason, and I love it. It's really, really pretty. As you can see, I didn't match them. I never really bother matching commercial self-striping or commercial sock yarn like this because I quite like the effect of them not being matching. It doesn't bother me in the slightest. I know I may not be in the majority in that sense, but it doesn't bother me. I'm quite happy with them. And yeah, I'm really pleased. So these are, I think, the third pair for my box of socks this year, which is quite nice. And I'm really happy that I got a pair of socks done. The second pair of socks that I finished is the Flourish socks. This is the first pattern in the Handmade Sock Society by Helen Stewart for this year. I have popped one on a sock blocker there for you, so you can kind of see the colours. The yarn I used for this is Craft House Magic, and it was one of her music from the movies colourways from a couple of years ago, and this was the Dirty Dancing colourway, and I think it's called Nobody Puts Baby in the Corner. I can't remember. She told me on my last video and I've not looked back at it. That's terrible, isn't it? That was the yarn. It's from Craft House Magic. It's really, really pretty, and I really love how these worked up. I'm going to pop this one on my hand so that you can see the full effect of the lace pattern, because it doesn't show off on the sock blocker because obviously you're seeing it from the side. But it was a gorgeous, gorgeous lace pattern. I really, really enjoyed it. It's a really simple repeat, so it was really easy to kind of keep on top of, and I didn't make any mistakes during it. I am hoping that these have brought back my sock mojo a little bit. My plan this year is to try and knit all of the socks from the Handmade Sock Society. I do have the letterpress socks on the needles, so you will see those shortly. I'm hoping it will bring back my sock mojo, which has been missing for the last couple of years. But I feel like these definitely inspired me to do more socks, and also obviously I've managed to finish 2 pairs of socks, which doubles the number that I finished this year, and I've done that in a month. So I'm hoping this does what I'm hoping it will do. That was a complicated sentence, wasn't it? So there we go, 2 pairs of socks finished in June, and a few other bits have had some progress on. So let's move on to what's in the basket. Right, in no particular order, I'm just gonna grab them from the basket, which is living next to me, which is a little bit over full at the moment, I will admit. I mentioned the letterpress socks. I do have the letterpress socks on the go. I think I've made a bit of a bad choice though, and I will explain in a second. So I am knitting these concurrently, and these are the second pattern in the Handmade Sock Society for this year, and I have done the leg. So they have this knits and pearls pattern on the leg, and then the foot is plain. So this one is ready for the heel, and then this one I have started the heel. Now, I thought to myself, I'm going to actually follow the pattern. As you know, if you are a regular viewer, I tend to do 68 stitches for my socks just because that fits my leg better. However, with this pattern, I wasn't able to adjust the stitch count because of the way that the pattern works all the way around the leg. I wasn't confident adjusting it to make it work for my 68 stitches instead of the 64 stitches that it's designed for. So I kind of said, it's fine, whatever. I picked a yarn that I really like, however, I would be happy to gift it. And if these don't end up fitting me, then that's exactly what will happen. They will end up getting gifted to my mum or my sister-in-law. I'm trying to think who else has the same size feet as me. One of those people for Christmas or something like that. So I'm not too worried about it. But because I was doing 64 stitches, I thought, well, that's okay. I can follow the heel that's in the pattern. If you are a regular viewer, you will know that I tend to gravitate towards doing a German short row heel, which is what I've done in the Flourish socks. I didn't use the heel in the pattern. I put in my own normal German short row heel because it is my preferred heel. It's the one I know off by heart. I can get it done in like half an hour and it's done and dusted and it's great. However, I am not really a heel flap and gusset person, but that is what's written in the pattern. So I thought to myself, I'll do the heel flap and gusset, and I did. I've done the heel flap and I've turned for the heel turn and everything like that, and this one is now ready to start just knitting down the foot and doing the gusset decreases. But I haven't picked this one up to do the same because it's so much more time consuming, and it's now got me into that stage of just not wanting to pick it up because these are no longer simple and easy and mindless. And I would even thought to myself, as I was knitting the leg of these, I was like, oh, it'll be great when the pattern is done because these will just be vanilla socks and they'll be really mindless. And then I've done this heel forgetting that I'm going to have to remember to do gusset decreases as I'm working down the foot, and they're not going to be as mindless. So I am regretting my decision. I can't decide if I'm regretting my decision enough to rip the heel out and put the normal heel, not the normal heel, my normal heel in. I'm almost tempted to do that, in all honesty, to just go back and pick up the stitches. And I could go back and pick up the stitches because there is a section of just plain stocking stitch before you start the heel. So I could easily go back and pick up the stitches in this stocking stitch section and rip out that heel without too many issues. And I honestly think that might be what I'm going to do because I know these are not going to get worked on otherwise. Whereas if I go back and I put in my normal German short row heel, I'll be able to get both those heels done in an evening, no hassle at all. And then they'll just be straight down the foot really nice and easy. Because June has been so chaotic, I am a little bit behind with these, which is a bit of a shame. I was really hoping to kind of keep up with it. However, the next sock pattern will be dropping while we're on holiday, and I don't think I'm going to be taking any knitting with me on holiday. We're having a maybe I will. Maybe I'll take something simple. I don't know. We've got a very busy holiday planned, and it's either going to be a mix of very, very hot, where I'm not going to want to knit, or it's going to be just really, really busy and I'm not going to have time to knit. So I wasn't really planning on taking any knitting with me. I was just going to take my Kindle and do some reading if I wanted to. But if I want to get these done, maybe I should take them with me. And then when we get back from holiday, I can cast on the new socks, which will be released at some point in July. Anyway, they are the letterpress socks. That is my dilemma. I think I'm going to rip out that heel. I think that's probably a good choice because otherwise these are going to sit in the bag and I'm not going to touch them because every time I think about them, I'll be like, oh no, I don't want to do that now. And that's not productive to things getting done, is it? Okay, the next project is my jig shawl puzzle. This is a pattern by Stephen West, and I have made some progress on this since I last showed it to you. Oh, I think I am attached to yarn at the moment. So I am just on the final section of the third corner. So it's a triangular shawl and we finished one corner as such, I guess. It's hard to know quite how to describe it. And we are now on the second corner, which we have nearly finished. Let me just work out if I can work out how to hold this up. This is, so this is the top corner here. And we are working on the bottom corner down here. So this is where we were. I think last time I shared this with you, I was working on, I'm going to turn it around because it's easier to hold it this way up. Last time I shared this with you, I was working on this triangular section. I've now put the two edge bits on and we're now working on a final triangle that will seal off this end of the shawl. And then, so I think this is section 16 or 17, and there's 22 sections in total. So yeah, this is the whole thing that we've done so far. It's massive actually, and it's really, really coming on. If you are new and you don't know what I'm doing with this, I am doing this slightly differently. So I am doing this with an advent calendar. I am hoping I am going to have enough yarn. It might be a tight thing. I am currently on colour 17, I think, and I'm on section 16. However, there are a couple of big sections coming up which are going to be using more than one mini, but then there are also some really small sections where I might get multiple sections out of a mini skein. So we will see. Worst case scenario, I said this to my friend the other day, worst case scenario, if I run out of yarn, I can always dye myself something that will work with the existing fade. It's not the end of the world. So hopefully I won't have to, but that is a possibility. The yarn is an advent calendar from Henny Penny Makes. We started here with this colour, and then it went through the browns and oranges into the reds, which then went into pinks, which then went into purples and blues, and we're now moving into greens, and then we finish off going from greens to yellows, I believe. I'm loving how this is coming out. It's really, really interesting. It's a really hard one to visualize how it's going to look when it's finished, because obviously there are sections that, like up here, there are sections that aren't finished. So there will be colors like coming down from here that are going to be different, and I don't quite know how the yellow is going to tie into the orange. Like, is it going to tie into the orange or not? It's a really interesting like way to approach this shawl. The pattern is designed, I think, for you to use 500-gram skeins, and you alternate them and you do different sections in different colours, and it tells you throughout the pattern which of your colours you should be using for each section. However, I am literally I started with the mini skein, and I knit until that mini skein's finished. It doesn't matter what section, how many sections, where in the section I change. That is just kind of how it's working. But yeah, this is how it is looking so far. And it's really, really enjoyable. And I can't wait to see kind of how it looks when it's finished. I was hoping to get it done for the spring shawl-a-thon, but obviously I haven't quite made it. It's fun, and I'm hoping I'll work on it more during the summer holidays. Let's have a little change of craft, shall we, and talk about some cross stitch. I am currently working on the Witchy Way cross stitch by Caterpillar Cross Stitch, and I've not picked this up in a couple of weeks actually. Maybe that needs to be rectified this evening. I can't remember where I was when I last showed this to you, but I've now finished the entirety of the first building, the Bat Tavern. I love it so much. It was so much fun to stitch, and I have just started the second building. I can't remember what that one is off the top of my head, but it's such a fun colour. I'm really enjoying the colours in this one in particular. They are just really bright and colourful, but they work really well with the Halloween theme. It is 5 buildings in total, so I've got a little way to go yet, but I've been really, really enjoying it. But as I said, I haven't picked it up for a couple of weeks, so I definitely feel like I need to do that. I need to pick this back up again and do a little bit of cross stitch on it. We've got nothing on this evening. Maybe I'll do that. Maybe I'll do some cross stitch this evening. I think we are planning to watch a Disney or a Marvel film tonight, because as I said, we're going on holiday, and we're going to Disneyland Paris as part of that holiday. So the kids are in full on like, what films do we need to watch before we go? What characters do we need to catch up with? What do we need to rewatch, and everything like that? And one of the Marvel characters that they've not really seen anything from yet is Captain Marvel, because we've not watched that film. So they're up to date with all the Avengers and everything like that. So we might be watching that tonight, and I feel like a bit of cross stitch at the same time seems like a good idea. Right, let's look at a new project. I cast on a hat, which I hadn't intended to cast on at all. I had intended that my next new kind of extra project was going to be my colourwork mittens, but this just called to me, and I ended up casting it on. So I have grabbed some of my own yarn. So this is Silky. It's one of my new Faraway Tree colourways. The pre-order is currently closed and is due to ship out at the end of July, but I will be uploading any spares and stuff probably sometime in August. So they will be available in the shop. But this is one of my new hat kits where the 4-ply and the fluff are dyed with the same colour. I introduced these for the Wool Monty, and I absolutely love them, but I realised that most of the samples that I've got in terms of hats that are 4-ply and fluff are older ones where they have a solid fluff to go alongside the kind of speckled main colour, such as this one, which is Tinkerbell and Shimmer. And although obviously I've got hat kits like that, I also have hat kits like this, for example, where the 4-ply and the fluff are dyed with the same colourway, and the fluff is kind of a speckled variegated colourway as well. So I wanted a sample that was going to show off how it looked when you had both of them speckled. So I grabbed Silky because it was my favourite, and I have cast on the Toasted Mallow hat, which is a pattern by Shannon Larson, which will sound familiar potentially if you've been a long-term podcast viewer, because I have cast this on before. I cast it on in some Lay Family yarn, however I was using a mohair and I am allergic to mohair, and every time I picked it up to knit on it I needed an antihistamine, and it just got to the point where I was like, I just can't do this anymore. I need to accept that mohair isn't for me. So we are on the Surrey Alpaca fluff, which is the only one that I stock because I'm allergic to mohair, and it's gorgeous and I love it. This is where we are. I have just finished the rib, so it's not particularly exciting yet, but I love how this is working up. I love how it looks. It's really, really pretty with the two colours held together, and I'm excited for this to actually become a hat. The Toasted Mallow hat is one that has like almost like a basket weave kind of texture to it, of knits and pearls, that kind of style. So I think it's going to be fun. Now we've got past the rib, it'll be nice to kind of get into that rhythm of that pattern and see how this grows. But yeah, it was one of those ones where I very much got sidetracked and decided to cast on something new, and that's where we ended up. So we have another project. We have a hat on the needles. And then I've also cast on a gnome, because I didn't knit a gnome at all in June, and I can't remember whether I knit one in May. The last gnome I knit was Professor Fungi, and I feel like he was he the April mystery gnome, or was it May that he was a mystery gnome? I feel like it was April. So I am behind when it comes to gnomes. I have dug out the book and I have started Gnarly from the book, Gnarly the Wavy Gnome, who is this one here. However, I'm doing him in 3 colours rather than 2 colours. So I'm doing the hat and the body in different colours. And he's coming along. I will admit, I am struggling a little bit with the kind of cabley wavy thing. I feel like if I did normal cables for it, I wouldn't be having the same issue, but it's because the way she gets you to do it, it's like a faux cable, kind of twisted stitchy faux cable thing, and I've not quite managed to get them to work, to the point where I'm tempted to rip out the body and do it with a proper 1x1 cable and see if that works better. But this is what we're using. So I'm using one of my Wildflower Meadow kits, which are these 3 colours here. I've done the hat in the purple colour. It doesn't have a name. I've done the hat in the purple colour. I'm using the actual Wildflower Meadow colour for the body, and then I'm going to do the beard in the green. This is how it's looking so far. As you can see, I don't know if you can see, to be honest, whether the twisted stitches going in this direction work, but the ones going in the other direction haven't quite worked properly. And I'm still not convinced. I've changed how I did it because I was doing it wrong. I did it wrong. I feel like you can actually see it here. Excuse the state of my fingernails as always. I've been dyeing up pre-orders, so I'm a little bit stained. But so this section here has worked, but this bit here is supposed to be the same and it hasn't worked. And I think it's because I was doing the twisted stitch wrong, and I've changed how I've done the twisted stitch, but I still feel like I'm not quite getting it to work. I don't know. I don't quite know what to do. I don't know whether to just go back and do it as a 1x1 cable with a cable needle. I think that would have the same effect. So instead of doing that twisted stitch, I just do a 1x1 cable, a left or right, depending on where it goes. I can't decide. It's not quite coming out how I was expecting it to. And I think it's me, even though I've looked at how the stitch is done and I followed kind of what they say, it's not working. Maybe it's just my knitting style, I don't know. But yeah, that is Gnarly. Right, then we have my Sweet Shop blanket, which again, I still haven't added masses to. There is a little bit of progress, so it's worth showing you. I have added this green square here. I was a little bit worried about the combination of these 2 colours, but actually now it's done, I think it works really well. And I am onto a blue square. I've finished the bottom half of it and it's ready to have the top half added, which I think is gonna be, this one here, which is not a pure blue. It's obviously got blue, pink and green in it, but I think that's gonna work really nicely. It's the bluest of the 5 colours from that month. I think I am on April, I'm on March. I'm on the 3rd month of it so far. This is how it is looking. But yeah, I really do need to reach for this a little bit more often. I think my issue I've had in the last month or so with knitting is that I've got I don't have any mindless projects on the go. Everything involves, like this one is relatively simple, but like it involves picking up stitches, it involves decreases and all of that kind of thing. There's nothing truly mindless, which means I've not necessarily been reaching for my knitting as often as I normally would, because when I've wanted something mindless, there's not been anything mindless. So I need a little bit of mindless knitting really, and everything is a little bit, none of it is complicated, but none of it is completely and utterly just simple garter stitch basically. However, because of that, because I didn't have anything completely mindless, and I had a couple, is there anything left in the basket? No. And I had a couple of events recently. I had a craft day in June, and I've had a couple of knit nights and things like that where I was going to be chatting to people and having something to work on at the same time, which I can't do unless the project is absolutely, truly mindless, like a round and round sock or a simple granny square, which is what I've ended up picking up. So I dug out my treasure box blanket. This was yarn from Suzanne at Green Lambkin Yarns last year. She did a yarn club, I think it was called the Secret Treasure Box Yarn Club, and each month you got 4 DK minis, and I am making a blanket out of them. And I have done a whole stack of squares. So these I'm doing in both, so each mini I am doing in a granny square, a standard granny square, and then also in a solid granny square. And the plan is to eventually put these together in a blanket, mixing the colours up together so that we alternate plain granny square with standard granny square. That's the plan anyway. We'll see whether that happens. What might end up happening is that they end up being 2 separate blankets if I can't work out. I've done the same number of rounds for each one, so I should in theory have the same number of stitches. I haven't started working it out, but there are so many here. And the colours are all just so much fun. Really, really pretty colours, lots of variation. And it's been really nice to kind of get back into a little bit of cross stitch and having those kind of simple granny squares on the go. It's nice because every like duo of squares uses up all of the mini skein. So I think I've got like 5 left in here. Oh no, maybe we've got 6 left in here. I've got 6 left in here. These ones just need the solid granny squares made out of them. And then we will find some more, because I have a whole load caked up at home, I think, ready to go in the bag to carry on making granny squares. But it has been really nice to kind of get a few more granny squares on the go. So that is everything that I have been working on in the last, well, I guess nearly a month since I last recorded a video. I do have, though, a fair amount of yarny goodness to share with you. As you know, I went to Woolmonty this year, and whilst I was there, I did a fair number of swaps with some fellow dyers, including some people that I hadn't come across before, which was really nice. You may already have seen this. If you've watched my Woolmonty vlog, you will have seen some of these because I shared my kind of yarn haul, I guess, as I was doing that vlog, but I wanted to sit down and share them here as well, because not everyone watches the vlogs, and that's fine. But I swapped for some gorgeous minis from Hook and Kutch. Absolutely beautiful. These are her Atlantis minis. They are stunning. I haven't worked out what I'm going to do with this, but I feel like these would work really well in a jumper. A bit like my Halloween Tolster with the stripes across. I think I might have to do something like that with them and just pick a colour to pair them with, because they are beautiful. And then I also swapped with Suzanne at Green Lambkin Yarns for this gorgeous skein of her Halloween colourway. As I always say, Suzanne is the queen of Halloween yarns, and this will 100% be my Halloween cast on this year. It is beautiful. I love that combination of like peachy orange and pink. It's a really interesting combination. I then swapped with Moonlight Fibres, who I have seen online, but I've never actually really looked at their yarn in person, and they were absolutely lovely. I picked up this gorgeous skein here, which is her, I can't see the colourway name, Neon Nebula colourway. It is beautiful, and this is 100% going to be a pair of crazy colourful socks. There are so many colours in this. It is stunning. I then did a swap with Super Effective Fibres, who I've not come across before, but they had a really, really fun stall, lots of really geeky yarns, lots of Pokemon inspired bits and pieces, which was really fun. And they also had a big Pride selection. So I picked up this colourway, which was their Summer of Love Trans Pride colourway. And I am going to use this to knit a pair of socks for a very close friend who is trans, who will very much enjoy having some trans pride socks. So that was really nice. And then I also did a swap with Shannon at Blue Fern Yarns for her Sea Thistle colourway and her Mulberry colourway. And these two are going to go together because they are just designed and destined to go together. They are beautiful together. Aren't they stunning? So this is going to be some kind of 2-colour project, whether that is a 2-colour shawl. I don't know, I think they'd go nicely in like a 2-colour shawl. I'm actually thinking, I've been thinking about knitting another Pure Joy for a while, and these would work perfectly in a Pure Joy. They would make a gorgeous Pure Joy. So maybe that is a possibility. And then I purchased a lovely project bag from Jackie at Soft Accents, who was next to me. I picked up this beautiful blue fabric because I realised I don't actually own a project bag from Jackie, and it was about time I did. They are beautiful, and I think, what's the lining? This one's got a lovely bright green lining in there, and I'm excited to have another project bag, despite the fact that I've bought a lot of project bags recently. But it's fine. It's all fine. That is everything that I got at Warmonty. However, I have had yarn clubs come in as well. So I did get my yarn club from, so this is the June club from Laura at The Lonely Knitter, which is Magical Worlds, and this month was The Forest. Absolutely beautiful greens and that brown mini. I'm not normally a brown fan, but that works so beautifully with those greens. These are, as long as my sock knitting mojo keeps coming back, which I'm hoping it is, these are going to be a gorgeous selection of socks. I'm tempted to challenge myself next year to do 1 pair a month from this club and cast on 1 pair a month and see how we get on. Absolutely beautiful. And then I also received my June chai latte minis from Hannah at Chromatic Yarns, and this month was inspired by Stick of Rock, Donkey Rides and Seaside Stroll, and these are beautiful. And I think I've mentioned before that I am wanting to cast a blanket on with these. I'm going to do a granny square, so basically all 3 minis are going to go into 1 granny square. I'm going to hold them double, and I'm just going to do like the middle, like the centre of the granny square, then the next bit, and then the next bit, and just do 1 big granny square out of each trio and then assemble them together. That is the plan, and I'm so tempted to start it, but I'm going to try and be good, and I'm going to try and wait until next year until I've got them all, and then I can just get carried away and do it next year. And I think it'll be a really, really fun project. That is all the Yarny Goodness. I know there was a fair amount of it, but blame the yarn show and the fact that I did lots of swaps. Also, this is my loophole. I am obviously, as part of my bingo board challenge this year, I am tracking my in versus out. However, that only counts on yarn that I have purchased, not yarn that I have swapped. So the only yarn that counts is that. None of this counts towards my in versus out. I love a loophole. Okay, let's move on, shall we, to our final section, which is shop news. I wanted to talk specifically in this section about weekly advents because I've had so many people ask me whether I'm doing a weekly advent this year, and I absolutely am. I know I'm releasing my weekly advent late, but I genuinely, so last year advents were a lot. Advents were a lot, and it very much, I don't want to say it destroyed me, but it was blimmin' hard work in September, October. I think the combination of doing it at the studio, which meant I was very much doing it solo, whereas when I was at home, quite often in the evenings, Tom would help me bag minis and things like that. However, when I was at the studio, I didn't have that luxury, and I also didn't have as much time because at that point the kids, like, we hadn't quite settled into the kids doing after school club and that kind of thing. So I need to be a little bit more reasonable this year with my expectations of what I can achieve. So I wanted to wait until all of the mini skein advent orders had come in, so I had a better idea of numbers, so that I could kind of moderate things and manage my workload efficiently so that I wasn't going to get overwhelmed, which is why we're releasing them later. They are now live. They're available to pre-order now. They'll be open for the entirety of July unless I reach capacity. I do have quite a large capacity, and I think because I'm releasing them later, I don't anticipating hitting capacity during July. So you should be fine to order anytime in July, but I will try and keep people updated with like what percentage I am at capacity and stuff like that if I need to throughout the month. But let's talk about the theme, shall we? Because I've not even mentioned that at all. So my weekly advent is a sock set advent. You can get sock sets across any of my bases, including 70-gram sock sets in merino nylon and 70-gram sock sets in sparkle, and then 120-gram sock sets in the rest of my bases. This year our theme is going to be A Christmas Carol by Charles Dickens. Specifically, we are going to be inspired by the 4 ghosts of A Christmas Carol. So Marley, the ghost of Marley, the ghost of Christmas past, the ghost of Christmas present, and the ghost of Christmas is yet to come. So they will be our 4 sock sets. I have no mood board this year, but I do have some ideas. Part of the reason there's no mood board is because I really struggled to find inspiration images that weren't copyrighted, and that were colours that I wanted to share. So we're kind of not going with a mood board this year, but the idea is that you will get 4 distinct individual sock sets. They will not be a fade or anything like that. They will be 4 completely different sock sets, so you can knit 4 completely different pairs of socks throughout December, or if you're anything like me, throughout the year after, and it will just be a really fun little weekly advent for you to open up. Although I am launching later, I am still able to offer a payment plan, so that will work with the fact that you'll place your order in July, and that will be your initial payment, and then you'll get an invoice in August and September. So we'll be splitting it into 3 basically. So I think the 120-gram ones are £105 at full price, and the 70-gram ones are £75 at full price. So that splits you down to, if you're doing the payment plan, it's 3 payments of 25 or 3 payments of 35 basically, although you do have your shipping added to the first payment. But yeah, that's the weekly advent. I'm really excited about it. I hope everybody enjoys it as much as me. As I said, the pre-orders are open now and will be open for probably the entirety of July, so there's no rush to get your order in, but I hope you're excited by it. I really enjoyed dyeing the weekly advent up last year, and I'm excited to start dyeing these ones this year. In terms of other seasonal things, I've had a lot of questions about Halloween and whether I'm doing a Christmas Eve box and all of that kind of thing. Absolutely. So I thought I would let you know like the times and dates I'm expecting things to release. So Halloween will be releasing in August. I will be doing a Halloween countdown. This year is going to be, I haven't quite decided on my terminology, but it's going to be, last year we did a library of ghosts. This year we're doing I can't remember what I picked for the word, but we'll call it a dictionary, shall we, for now? That might change, but like it's going to be vampires. It's going to be like a dictionary of vampires. So each one is going to be, it's going to be a fade across a series of colours, and then each one will have a little info sheet in it, similar to last year with the ghosts, and it will be some kind of book inspired by vampires. So we will have everything from Twilight to Interview with a Vampire to Dracula, all kinds of different recommendations for different vampire books. And that is the plan for the Halloween countdown this year, 13 minis. You'll be able to choose across my bases as always, and they will be releasing in August. I will also be doing a Halloween treat box this year. Again, that will be releasing in August. And this year's Halloween treat box is inspired by Jekyll and Hyde. So I'm really excited about it. I've got a really fun plan for what I think I'm going to do with it. It's going to be a little bit different to previous years, but it's going to be fun. It's going to be exciting, and we'll see what happens with that one. They will be releasing in August. In terms of other Christmas stuff, I am doing a 12 days of Christmas. I haven't settled on my inspiration image yet because it's a while off, but it will be my kind of 12 days of Christmas fade that I often do. Last year's was this one here. This was, I've called this one the Winter's Frost fade, and this was the 12 days of Christmas from last year. This year's will be something completely different, which I will share, and that will be releasing in October. And I will be doing a Christmas Eve treat box as well this year. Last year's was inspired by the Snow Queen. The year before was inspired by the Snowman by Raymond, oh, it's not Raymond Chandler, is it? Raymond Briggs. Getting my authors wrong. This year I haven't quite settled on my inspiration yet, but there will be a literary inspiration to my treat box, some kind of festive story, I'm sure. And again, that will be releasing in October. So Halloween in August, Christmas in October, basically, for anyone that wants to know, because I have had quite a few questions about that. And then the last thing I wanted to say was the shop is fully stocked. So I shared hat kits a little bit earlier. The Winter's Frost minis are finally on the website. I've also, more crinkling, I'm sorry. I've also finally listed the Midsummer yarn kits as well, which you will have seen at shows, but they've never made it. Put that down there so I'm not crinkling. They've never made it to the shop. There are lots and lots of minis, including I've also listed all of the spares from last year's Rainbow Mini Club. They are all on the website now, as well as the fact that the bookshelves are just fully stocked. So there is lots and lots of yarn available. However, having said that, as I mentioned, it is now the school holidays. So first off, just please bear with me if I'm a little bit longer shipping your packages. I have a 3 to 5 working day shipping policy. That is standard. And basically what that means is that you order your yarn on a Friday, say. Working days do not include weekends. You can expect your package to ship anywhere between Monday and Friday the following week. So the Friday the following week would be 5 working days. So just bear that in mind. Whenever you're ordering from me, there's a reason for that. Part of the reason for that is if I suddenly have a yarn that's been ordered that is out of stock, it gives me time to dye it up quickly if I need to. Some days I am dyeing from the moment I get into the studio until the moment I leave, and I don't have time for packing orders. Other days I've got scanning. Like, I can't always pack orders every single day. Also, my delivery office is only open from 8 till 10 every morning. So if an order does come in, I have to pack it, then I'm not gonna get, like, if an order comes in on a Friday, for example, I pack it on the Monday, but I can't take it to the post office on the Monday. The earliest I can get it to the post office is the Tuesday. And if I've had a full day of dyeing on the Monday and I've not got round to packing orders, then the reason I have the 3 to 5 working day policy is it just gives me time so that I'm not late with orders, because I'm shipping within my policy, and that is visible and available on my website. Having said that, during the school holidays, I am going to be dropping down to 3 working days because obviously childcare and things like that. The kids are going into holiday club a couple of days a week, and Tom's going to be working from home once a week. But I will try my best to keep within that 3 to 5 working day policy, and I absolutely should be able to. With 3 working days, there should be no reason why I would go beyond that. But just bear with me if things are a little bit slower than normal, or I'm a little bit slower to respond to emails than normal. And also, just to say that from the 5th of July to the 20th of July, there will be a shipping pause on the website because we're going away, basically. So there will be no one here to fulfill your orders. There will be a banner on the website so that you should be able to see that if you go into order. You can absolutely order during that time. It just won't ship until we're back, basically. But yeah, there's plenty of beautiful yarn if you want any of it. We have got to the end of the podcast, and I'm going to say, leave me either a mouse emoji or a castle emoji for the fact that I am off to Disneyland Paris next week. And thank you very, very much for watching, and I will see you all in the next video. Bye.